Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IELTS lessons. In today's lesson, we're going to have an overview or a short introduction to IELTS Writing Task 1, which is academic. This is ideal for you if you do not have yet any experience or information about IELTS. Now, what is the IELTS Writing Task 1 academic, if you may ask? Now, the IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic will require you to write a report based on the information contained in one or two visuals. So these could be charts or graphs. And you have to write this in 20 minutes. And at least you have to write for about 150 words to a maximum of 220 words. Now, just like in any typical essay, the whole content must have number one, introduction, overview, body paragraph 1, and body paragraph 2. Now, we also have another essay structure here for writing task 1. First, you can start again with introduction, followed by body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2, and lastly is the conclusion. Now, whichever structure you use is acceptable, but in my class and all my example essays, I use the first structure as examiners would like to know if you have clearly stated your overview. Now, since there are 4 paragraphs in this task, our next thing we need to do or to take note is its number of sentences per paragraph, because we have to observe the word limit. That is why we have that is to write only at least 150 to a maximum of 220 words. So as can be seen here on the graph, that in our introduction we must only have 1 to 2 sentences, and our body paragraphs must only have 2 to 3 sentences to a maximum of 4, and the conclusion and overview must only have 1 sentence, and that is enough. Now, most high-quality Task 1 essays are between 150 and about 220 words, depending on the complexity of the task. Okay. Now, let's move on to the content of our essay. This means what should and should not write in this IELTS Writing Academic Task 1. So in this task, we should only write or must contain only the information contained within 1 or 2 visuals. Now this means that the information that we should write are only those information contained in the data, graphs, or diagram. Therefore, we should not include our personal opinion. We should not write knowledge. We should not write suggestion in this essay. So this means that we only need to interpret the visuals as it is without any personal tone. Okay. Now let's have an example. For example, in this graph, we should not say all throughout the period more female graduates were recorded in Canada as they are more eager to learn than boys. So this is basically a personal tone and should not be written in this task. So you have to save this opinion in your writing task 2, but never use this in IELTS Writing Academic Task 1. Okay? And the next one is we should not write what we know. So that means we should not include any knowledge in this task. Now, for example, we should not say all throughout the period more female graduates were recorded in Canada because based on what I know, more female have enrolled in this school. So again, we should not use knowledge in writing task 1 IELTS academic. Lastly, we should not write any suggestions. Okay? As an example to this, we should not say that all throughout the period more female graduates were recorded in Canada, so the school must also give more priorities to males. So never give suggestions to this writing task. Again, you can give suggestions to a conclusion in writing task 2. So we will learn this later. So that's it. And the next and the final thing we do after we master how to write the content of our essay, as we have agreed, we should not write our personal opinion, knowledge, and suggestion. So after this, after we have taken note on what should and we should not write in writing task 1, the next thing we need to do is to develop the timing our writing output. So in this section, we're given 20 minutes to complete the task. So we should know that. And the first thing we need to do is to read the prompt. So the prompt here says that the chart below shows information about the problems people have when they go to live in other countries. Summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So that is the prompt. And after we read the prompt, we have to allot for at least 3 to 5 minutes to plan the content of our essay. Okay, so again, first read the prompt and allot for about 3 to 5 minutes to plan our essay. Then after we read the prompt and plan, we move to writing our essay, which includes the writing of our introduction, the overview, and the body paragraphs. Now during this time, we must spend at least 10 to 15 minutes. And finally, we have to spend at least 3 to 5 minutes for editing and proofreading. So this will allow us to check the spelling, grammar, and punctuation. So all in all, we finish the task in 20 minutes. And actually in the actual test, once you've mastered the planning and writing the content, you can actually finish this task in less than 20 minutes, roughly around 15 to 18 minutes. Okay. Now you may ask, what are the different types of graphs in writing task 1? So in writing task 1, we have data essays, which can be a line graph, a pie chart, a bar graph, a table, a combination, a map, process, which can be natural process, and lastly is a man-made process. So after we know the different types of graphs, we may ask ourselves, how are we graded in this task? So let's move on to scoring your writing task 1. Now in this task, we are graded in 4 criteria. The first one is a TA, or task achievement. The second one is CC, or the cohesion and coherence. Third one is LR, or the lexical resource, and the fourth one is a GRA, or the grammatical range and accuracy. Now let's check here. The first criterion is a task achievement. Now what is this? The task is basically what asks us to do, and the achievement here is how we present the data or the diagram. Now in this data, for example, let's check here an example. Now in this data, for example, our task is to write a summary in response to a particular graph. So it could be line, bar, pie, etc. And write a summary must have at least 150 words. And to achieve this, we must report the main features, describe and compare the data. So that is why this is called the task achievement. Okay, now this is the first criterion, and this first criterion grades our ability to give the most relevant answer to the task. And it says here in the band 7 descriptor that the candidate must cover the requirements of the task, present a clear view of main trends, and highlight key features. Okay, So after we know the first criterion of grading or writing task 1 IELTS academic, the next is we are graded with how logical the flow of our essay is. And this is called the cohesion and coherence. This also refers to our ability to use cohesive devices more appropriately, which make the relationship of our sentences clear. And now in the band descriptor 7, it says the candidate must logically organize his information and ideas and use a range of cohesive devices. And the third criterion is the LR, or the lexical resource. Now, this criterion grades our ability to use appropriate words and phrases to describe the graphs. Hence, in the band descriptor 7, it says that the candidate must use sufficient range of vocabulary and use less common lexical items, which is why we need to memorize all the vocabulary, the useful words and phrases to describe data graphs. And to add more vocabulary in our memory bank, it is very important for us to learn, number one, how to paraphrase, memorize the words and phrases that describes dynamic graphs, the stage language and other vocabs used to describe process, both man-made and natural, the vocabs used in describing maps and locations, the useful phrases to make introductions, data graphs, other useful phrases to make overview, the trend, exception, and relevance, useful phrases to make body paragraphs, and useful phrases to make comparisons. So all these actually are sent to your email as part of your reference materials, and we have to study them, or we can study them during our advanced course lessons. Okay, now when we memorize all these, we can easily develop and improve our writing task 1. Alright, now finally, the fourth criterion is the GRA, or the grammatical range and accuracy. Now take note, it says here range in grammar and accuracy. So in here, in this fourth and last criterion, it grades our ability to use a wider range of grammar with accuracy. And in the band descriptor 7, it says that the candidate must use a variety of complex structures. That's the first one. Then must produce error-free sentences. And lastly, have a good control of grammar and punctuation. So that is why if we had to master CC, cohesion, coherence, and GRA, or grammatical range and accuracy, we must study the words that describe trends, the cohesive devices and referencing, the tenses, the passive voice used in man-made processes and maps, complex sentences, and making comparisons. Now again, grammar lessons are sent in your email as part of your reference materials, and we can study all those in our advanced grammar classes. Okay, now this is the introduction about IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic, and you may proceed now to checking the introduction to IELTS Writing Task 2 Academic. So see you in the next lesson, and have a great day. Goodbye.